Hello, gorgeous beings, to another episode of the Soft Whisper Revolution. I'm super excited to have my second guest speaker here. I have Joanna here. Thank you so much for being here. We will hear a little bit about who she is and what she does in this life in a second. But first of all, the topic that came through for me in a meditation before, and I'm so happy that you are also excited to talk about it. We actually intuitively started talking about this topic the moment we hopped onto the screen. It's about community and community living. Like, what does it mean? Where is this whole coming from? What is that our souls are craving? What is our insides craving? And also, how does it link with the whole topic of belonging? And I personally feel that it's going to be quite a personal story and topic for me. I feel like it can at times maybe even be very emotional and sad to talk about this, but I'm ready. I'm ready to open up a topic where it's going to be more personal, more emotional, more me, more just the truth of what we're living at the moment. And yeah, we would just see where it goes because surprises can happen. We're here for the mysteries. We're here with two manifestors as well. So who knows what is going to happen? Which is going to be truth spoken. So be excited. Stay until the end, please. And Joanna, I'm super happy just to hear how would you want to introduce yourself today in this
Mm,
podcast?
mm. Yeah, thank you for having me, first of all. I'm really super excited to be here with you. Oh, yeah, I feel like what comes forth, especially considering the topic that we're going to be speaking into, I'm first and foremost a mother and a partner. That feels like a foundational piece for me in my life right now, actually. The different role that I'm stepping into after being single for a very long time. Um, and I love writing. I express myself through writing, through creativity, through creating beautiful graphics. I also um, create blueprint readings for people. I map human design, astrology, and gene keys together and create a layer approach into people's unique expression. And almost what's really coming forth for me lately is this almost how do we express ourselves through the soul, but also through the humanity. So it's almost like the marriage of soul and the spirit, human spirit. So that's been like a big thing for me lately. Um, And I think it's yeah, I feel like I'm moving a lot more towards full human embodiment and actually really um being in this life, being in fully stepping into what it means to be human and what does that encounter, what does, it's been a sort of wild ride for the last couple of years, especially since I moved here to the community setting. So yeah,
Lovely.
thank
I
you.
like that you also use these words of the marriage. I've never used it in this way, but at the same time, I'm like, this is also one of the core pieces of this podcast, which is linking the science with the spiritual topic,
Mm,
linking the psychology with the sociology, linking it with the bigger picture of what is actually going on this planet, in the collective, but also bringing it right down to the individual and also on a spiritual angle. Because for me, all of these topics are combined, and I
yeah.
see people try and separate it all the time. But it's a marriage of everything and bringing it together, and also, like you said as well, like we can't just escape to the spiritual world. We actually have to find our human self, and that's why we're
Hmm.
having a very human topic today. And at the same
Hmm.
time, I know that all the different angles will also play in. So, in that
Hmm.
regard, with community, I'm super excited to talk about it because I feel like it's been a topic that has journeyed with me for years. I
Hmm.
I would say 2019 was most likely the transition for me where I moved out of a place where I was and I've been a lot nomadic living in that time where I really felt like the power of community living and this desire to live or find my tribe, I call it. And
Mhm,
in that, obviously, like you also shared before, we find a lot of obstacles. We find a lot of, oh, this could be the solution, and a lot of obstacles because I actually feel like there is no role model right now that really presents to me the kind of community or community living that I find
mhm,
really ideal. And in that, I do think it's such a crucial piece for us humans, though. We're not meant to live by ourselves. We're not meant to be isolated constantly. It's
mhm,
actually isolation is as bad for your health as is
mhm,
like super a lot of stress or having like it's just really bad for your physical health, isolation. So you can feel comfortable and you can feel good, but you're never loving, you're not really talking. It just doesn't make you happy. And in that,
mhm,
I know that I'm coming here and I don't have the perfect solution, but it's more an exploration of what I am going through at the moment to find
mhm,
maybe we find a solution
mhm,
together. Maybe we find something that works or what it is at the core and at the center of what we're actually searching. So like I said, it's an
mhm.
exploration and that's a little bit of
Yeah.
where I'm coming from. But before we started recording, you actually share your living situation.
Mhm,
And I thought that this was so beautiful because the living experience of something was so healthy for me to hear it. So I also would like you to just talk about that again.
mhm. Um, yeah, so I'm well, I was gonna say I'm a single mom, but at the moment I also have a partner, so I don't feel that single anymore in that sort of sense because I do have the support. But when I moved here 2 years ago, I was a single mother, and me and my friend decided to move in together. She's a single mom too, and we just were really tired with being on our own, not being able to do anything because when you live on your own with the child, you very much do everything around a schedule and so on, especially if you don't have a close family nearby or a partner that can sort of share those responsibilities with you. It becomes very isolating. For me, that journey really started probably in 2018, when I ended uh, a relationship with my daughter's dad, and I was living on my own. Um, yeah, for almost 6 years, I think. And it, especially like during COVID and afterwards, it was really difficult because I essentially was alone with her all the time. I also used to live in a flat, so we weren't allowed to go out much, and it just became really, really difficult to cope. Like even mentally, it had definitely a big influence on me. So we moved in here together, 2 months, and and I think we started it off as this like beautiful dream of moving in, creating a community. We've got a beautiful land around us, actually a lot of space. So this space was always meant to be used for like events and gatherings and things like that. And that was like our dream to be able to create space like that for ourselves and for community. Um, and I think uh, the reality of it actually humbled us a lot across the last couple of years because um, it's not as easy as it seems. And I feel like what we actually learned, because we had this idea of like single moms living together. At one point, we had another mom living with us, so there was three of us and with 3 kids, and it actually became really tricky and very difficult Because what you find is when you live with people, especially if you lived on your own for a very long time in a space where, like, when you're at home, you're doing things your own way. You don't have anyone questioning you. You don't have anyone, um, sort of rubbing against you. And like once you live with people, people think it's all about being together, coming together, helping each other. But actually, what comes up first is actually we had to sort of learn to live together. And it's been really difficult and it's been very challenging. All of the patterns, relating patterns have come up. For us, it was mainly like sisterhood patterns that were coming up for the first year or so. We've been moving through a lot here. But also we realized after a while that actually moms supporting moms um, just doesn't work in a sense that actually community needs a diversity of people that have kids and don't have kids, men and women, especially when it comes to children. Children need both men and women around, um, simply because we are so different. So we teach them different things. And as much as, I want to say as a mom, I can be everything for my daughter is a lie, actually. And I've learned it the hard way. It doesn't work like that. She needs a man in her life as well. So I think, yeah, we've gone through a lot, and I think it's been really challenging in practice. And like, I am really glad that we've been doing it and we're here. Um, but yeah, and I think even with like running community events and stuff like that, again, um, yeah, we definitely need more people to be involved and to help us out. Like, there's no way, we can run everything by ourselves. It's just not simply not doable if you have like a child and work and other things. Yeah, so there is a lot there, and I think it actually has been really heavy for the last couple of years. It's been a big, huge learning curve for both of us. Um, yeah, do you have any questions?
I think it's really interesting, or maybe not questions, more like a
Mm.
lot of things that went through my mind when I listened to this.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, what I hear is definitely we can have a very gorgeous and beautiful vision, an idea of what we want with something, but then actually
Mm-hmm.
the humanness gets into the way, which is basically what you said. It brings up like living with someone, living in a community with different people. You're living with another child that is not yours. You're living with like other adults. And yeah, anyway, it also brings up all of our relationship wounds, right? So that's again a topic of when I live by myself in isolation, I can feel like my world is perfect and I've got everything figured out and I have no issues. But it's also because you're not being confronted with your wounds. Our wounds are
Yeah,
most often have been created with other people, so we actually only feel them when there's another person around. So
yeah.
then that comes into the way. So that takes up a lot of space and energy and time. And then
Mm-hmm.
additionally to that, there is the whole time. I always am surprised. I'm self-employed and I have my whole day. I structure it by myself. And I'm really surprised how people can have a normal job and then go and do sports in the evening and meet up their friends afterwards and then still come. I'm like, how? Time runs away from me. So this is all this also this
Yeah.
thing of in reality, something looks very different. What we thought before, if we're in community with
Mm-hmm.
different people, we actually have so much time to build up like the garden. I assume the garden takes up so much time, but that we actually only have like half an hour each day to work on that community project is something we forget. So the
Yeah,
humanness
yeah,
gets in the way of the
yeah.
visions. And at the same time, I think like if I look at your story or like your experience, I realize I have had most of my community realizations more through observation than through actually
Mm-hmm.
living in them. Or maybe I've lived in them for like I tap in and out of them. Like, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, you're somewhere, you live there. I live a very nomadic life, so I live in a lot of different apartments with a lot of different constellations of people. And it's always very
Mm-hmm.
interesting because it gives me this opportunity to tap in and tap out again. And I realize
Yeah.
when you tap in and tap out, you can handle a lot more pressure or a lot more tension or like
Mm-hmm.
things that I'm like assume in the long run would go into a fight or into a conflict or into something that wouldn't work. But I always see like it is challenging. And
Mm-hmm.
where I am coming in with this, it's a beautiful experience is first of all, it's very normal that conflicts happen or tension. Second of all,
Yeah.
I do see that most people or humans right now, we're not very conflict. We don't have a lot of abilities to work with conflict because it's not something we get taught. This is like,
Yeah.
this should be mandatory at school to teach
Yeah.
how do I handle my emotions and how can I be there for someone else's emotion. A
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
simple example here is like nonviolent communication. I have studied 10 years, so I feel like most of the time, not all the time, obviously, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
perfect and I never want to say that I'm perfect. I feel like I'm quite good at communicating even a heavy conflict to a person in a way that could be considered soft. I use the sandwich technique, if you know what that is. You
Mm-hmm.
say something positive, then you say the negative thing, and then you end up with something positive. You say, hey, I really love living with you, and I do realize that I find it challenging that you never wash the dishes. But in general, like so much that you do is perfect and gorgeous, and I never want to stop living with you. This is the
Mm-hmm.
sandwich technique. And I feel like in that sense, because it's not mandatory that people are aware about that and haven't
Mm-hmm.
learned about it. Most people don't do it, and then I just see huge, massive conflicts happening that
Mm-hmm.
no one knows how to handle because we're a little bit like children in adults' bodies at time regarding
Yeah.
the emotions. Like I
Yeah.
myself, I'm still struggling with the emotional like abilities to hold my own emotions or communicate my own emotions and then also hold someone else's emotions because
Yeah.
it's such a big topic and this is definitely that just blows up or can blow up in communities.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
don't know because I've observed that in some communities they have like spaces where they sit together and talk about conflicts, about their emotions. Do you have something like that, or do you want to say something about just in practical? I see it in
Yeah.
examples and in the practical, how did that go?
Um, First of all, I just wanted to say something that came for me when you were speaking into the humanity getting in the way. I actually believe that um, I, I I don't see it like that. I don't see that the community is getting in the way. Actually, I see it as humanity makes it real.
Yeah.
Actually, it makes it a real experience. So it's not just a dream, it's not just a vision, it's actually built into our reality. So for me, actually, humanity makes it real. And sometimes we, might not like how it manifests, but it's manifests as true of the moment. But I coming back to what you were saying, I feel like communication is a huge part of being able to live in community, because what happens is like the the more you leave even little things out that really sort of affect you with other people. And it doesn't even have to go to conflict. This is the thing. Like the earlier you communicate things, conflicts don't really happen because you can have a normal conversation with someone and be just, hey, listen, this is how this situation affects me. And I understand that it's hard for you to deal with this or you're busy and so on, but it has come to a point where like it really affects the way I feel in my daily life. Therefore, we need to address this. And I think people are different. So some people I would say need a space to come and sit down together, and some people are just happy to talk over dinner. Some people are happy to just like meet in the kitchen. Oh, we're in the kitchen, or let's have a quick chat. So I think it depends on the people that you live with. Like for me, for example, um, like I don't like the element of surprise. So I rather someone ask me, "Hey, do you have a time to chat? Will you have a time later, or do you have time now?" And then I can go into that conversation with them, no problem. But if someone comes to me and starts talking without that bridge almost, I'm like, what's going on, And I'm like, it just gets me out of like, yeah. So I don't deal with that, for example, very well. So actually, to be fair, like what I want to say that through this experience, we all are getting to know ourselves so much better, each other, but also ourselves. Like I have found out so many things about myself and my daughter, for example, through this experience, because otherwise it was just the two of us and we were just getting on with the way we two relate, which is easy with your own child. But when you have other people to add to it and they have to rub against those other adults especially, it's so different. So I think, yeah, I think I actually got to know myself, especially, but also my daughter through this experience to like another level. So like, even though it's been challenging, I am actually really grateful for it. Because without this, I wouldn't be where I am with her today. I wouldn't have the relationship that I have with her today. So, I think at times things seem difficult, but they here for us in the end. So that's why I'm saying like I don't necessarily feel that the humanity is getting in the way. It's more like actually it's the contribution that we need in order to make things real in a way.
Yeah, it's the grounding force in it, like the
Yeah.
roots. That's, but
The gravity, right?
yeah,
And sometimes
yeah,
it's heavy.
yeah,
It's heavy, but
yeah.
that's the gravity of it.
And
Yeah.
it's needed, and I think that's why I say, when I say in the way, I could have done it in the way, because we
Mm-hmm.
feel that this is what is the challenge, where it's actually what is needed. I've just
Mm-hmm.
recently said in a podcast that I think our ego is actually the part we need to anchor us into the earth. So we can't just try and transcend the ego. We have to live it. So the humanity is the
Oh yeah.
same. It's our anchor. We have to live
Yeah.
with it. We can't just go into the dream world and the visions, but we have to live it. And when the whole time while you were speaking, I was always like thinking, yes, it's so interesting. It's such a crucial part, this whole community spaces, having people around us. And at the same time, I'm like, let's bring it right down to the individual, which is me right
Mm-hmm.
now. And I'm like, what, why would I crave personally or desire community? And I'm like, because I want to be received, seen, and held for the fullness of who
Mm-hmm.
I am, which is basically one of our biggest desires anyway, right? And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like wherever we go, because this is such a big desire, and at the end of the day, it's only us. I can only give that to myself. And
Yeah.
because we have this huge desire, it's often like no matter where we go with other people, we have a conflict or we get into a challenge or a tension, because no one out there should accept the fullness of who I am unconditionally. We
Mm.
all, there is always like, I shouldn't, my energy shouldn't just be able to flow through yours and like kick you out of your seat, but we have, boundaries are healthy, like friction is
Mm.
healthy. So in all of that, I'm like, this, it's such an innocent and beautiful desire of mine. And the reality there again is, but as soon as I would step into this community. Let's say I find a community where I'm like, wow, they actually desire a life like I want to. Most
Mm-hmm.
likely, there will be challenges coming up.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that we are not good. And that's what we need to learn as well. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean if there is conflict in the spaces where I'm living, in the community I'm in, that I'm not good or I'm not received or I'm not okay the way I am, but actually
Mm-hmm.
you can live here no matter what. And this is what I saw while you were speaking. I was like, these conflicts of over the dinner table, for example, it's not about saying, hey, Joanna, you can't live here anymore. It's more like, hey, I want to live with you. And to be able to do that, this is a desire I have, or this is something I've realized. And that me sharing this with you actually means I care about you. And that
Mm-hmm.
I just saw the beauty in that of like, wow, this is such a, I'm having like healing effects while we speak about this topic. This is
Mm-hmm.
actually so beautiful. So every person who is brave enough or feels comfortable enough to share a conflict or a tension with us is actually saying, I care about you and I want to have you in my life. It's a
Mm-hmm.
different story if someone just walks away. Then, because
Mm-hmm.
if someone just walks away,
Mm-hmm.
then for me, that is equivalent with, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
don't matter to you, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because in my world, things like this are spoken about, and this is crucial parts of being
Mm-hmm.
able to live with someone. And if I say
Yeah.
community here as well, I want to say for me, the whole world is could be a
Yeah.
community. You know, like community is not just the people I live with. Community is every single space I go to. If I go to a certain kind of event, that's the community I'm in. If I go to a restaurant, that's the community I'm in that moment. So we're
Yeah.
constantly surrounded by people. And we also desire
Mm.
that from our core. We desire
Yeah.
the other people around. It's like the engagement from outside is exciting. You know, like I don't have to fully fill up my day with my own
Mm.
thoughts, desires, and wishes and
Mm.
creativity. There's actually people who are interacting with me, which makes life so much more fun. Like, yeah.
Mm. Yeah. And also like when you were speaking about, being accepted and received, and actually in a lot of like spiritual places when people speak about being received, being accepted, they just I think like I find that when someone doesn't agree with you, they might accept who you are. Acceptance and agreement are two different things. So they might accept the way you are, they might not like it. And the fact that they actually communicate that they don't like it is because they actually received you. They actually paid attention enough to actually decide, I don't like this. I don't like how it affects me. I don't like how this feels. So they actually have received you. They received maybe the part of you that, you know, you are not okay, or you might be absolutely okay with, and but it's I think what I've learned really deeply here, when you live with other people, there is when you live with other people, there is no such a thing as full freedom of who you are, because by sharing a space, there's always give or take.
Mm,
There is always something that you need to come together with. And that means certain sacrifice. That there is no such a thing of, oh, I can do whatever I want to do all the time. It's like if you that's what you want, you live on your own. Because actually living in community, living with people, asks a lot of commitment of you. And I think that was another lesson for me, big one, um, actually commitment. Commitment to what I have chosen and actually staying with it even when it's uncomfortable. Because I almost feel like the community space and all of the lessons that I've been through are actually really prepared me for my relationship when it comes to like the commitment pieces, because um yeah, it sort of allowed me to stay with it when in tension. And that has been a huge part of of this whole experience. And I'm personally like I'm quite Saturnian being, and I find the most freedom actually through experiences in intimacy and in commitment. So the more I need to face something and face myself and actually move through something with another person, the more freedom I feel to be myself because I don't need to hide anymore. It's almost like when you come together with people, it's like all of those things that you didn't know you were hiding. You didn't even know that they were there to a certain degree. Just come up and you suddenly need to deal with it and actually take responsibility of your communication, take responsibility of your emotions, take responsibility of your behavior, and it's huge. It's like it's basically like a school of becoming an adult. I'm not joking, but that's how it feels. Like I feel through this experience, I have grown into a responsible adult. And yeah, it's huge. And I think a lot of people don't have that because we sort of go through living with parents to then experiences of like, being a uni or living with friends and so on. And I remember I used to house share when I was younger, even like during my uni years. And because everyone lives such an individual lives and no one really it wasn't very joint living as such. We never used to have so many crashes and arguments and so on so much because everyone was just like fending for themselves. But like here it's I feel like yeah, it just brought up so many different things because I guess like we came here with an intention to look after each other and actually have realized that um that is that is actually a lot because also in the house everyone is sort of on the spectrum, everyone is a neurodivergent, both of our kids are, we both are. So it's like everyone has their own very specific needs. And I guess like that's what came up for us as well, actually learning our needs and what we need, especially when there's other people around, and then how I can take responsibility of that first, and then communicate it in such a way that I'm not demanding stuff. I am actually expressing from my heart, from like being sincere with people, and again, like saying, this really affects me, and it's not that like what you're doing is wrong, but it really does affect the way I feel. So there is situations where like for example, I'm very sensitive to my environment. I like everything to be tidy and clean. And it's not that it cannot be messy here and there. It's fine. Obviously, I've got a child, it's a normal thing. But there is a certain standard that like I need in my home environment. Not everyone is like that. And there is certain things that like, for example, for me, if we all not contribute with cleaning, like I overdo it because I clean after everyone else, right? And for me, it got to the point where I was doing so much that I actually didn't have energy for uh, other things I had to do. But because for me, my environment is very important. Like I don't function well if my environment is not set in a certain way. So, then I had to have a conversation about it, and then we created a solution to it, and now it's fine, you know? So this is the thing, it's like little things where I could see that I was over giving and I was becoming really resentful over it. But they never asked me to give that. I was doing that, so I was over giving of my own accord. So it's little things like that when you live with people that make a huge difference on your well-being. and it's having the ability to actually honestly communicate in a way that you actually acknowledging that this is my problem and I actually need your help to make it work, you know? So it's vulnerable. Actually, I feel like that's what comes up. It's like all of those things are very vulnerable because you have to be honest
Mm.
and you need to show yourself in a way, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it's this tendencies of a little bit of people pleasing as well as
Yeah.
overgiving, like you shared. I actually have the same one. I can't because I'm working from home. I can't
Mm.
work when
Yeah.
my environment is not clean. With that, I mean like it doesn't matter if there's like certain things that are lying around if they have an order to it. But
Mm-hmm.
if it's like hygienic, not clean, I can't. So most
Yeah.
places where I'm going in, like because I'm staying at different places, but I also rent these places. I come in and I'm like, the first thing I have to do is I have to clean. I'm like so surprised how messy
Yeah.
people live. Like,
Yeah.
for example, one of the biggest things for me is kitchen, and then second one
Yeah.
is bathroom. But if the
Yeah.
kitchen, I
Same.
can't eat anything if the kitchen is not clean.
Yeah.
It makes me feel
Yeah.
disgusted. So
Yeah.
if like the like say I don't know people some people are not so good at cleaning the dishes and there is leftover food on it or there is like the floor, I like walking
Mm-hmm.
barefoot over socks and the floor is sticky. Yeah, I get it 100%. But
Yeah.
what came up for me is, for example, as well, because I'm working from home and I'm very busy, I often don't have time to cook and then I just eat snacks. But this is something where a give and take could be possible. I can't function and when something is not clean. Therefore, I could do the cleaning if someone else doesn't see it. That's as well a thing. Some people just don't see it.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
important. But for example, can you support me with cooking? This is like
Yeah.
this thing of like sometimes with living alone in this life, I'm like, this doesn't make sense for me. Like cooking for
Mm-hmm.
three people doesn't take that much more time than it takes for cooking for one person. And there is other
Mm-hmm.
things where which I'm not good
Yeah.
in or I forget about. And so this is like this support in community that I have to say, my soul is really craving because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
the world out there, it's just so harsh and there is so
Yeah.
much like hardness and so much tension all the time and anger and frustration where I'm like, I wish I could live in a place where people are way more caring with each other. And this part of support is there. And also this support of like, okay, you're self-employed, you're a single mom, you need more support. Okay, how can I give that? Because right now I feel like so abundant with everything and so I can do more. And this, I sometimes I am really, I this is one of the biggest things I see my soul is craving. But so far, I haven't found this community that really feels like home. It really feels like me. Because
Mm-hmm.
I've also heard about like these community villages where once a week they come together and talk about things that are not
Yeah.
going okay, which I think is
Yeah.
actually a great idea. And at the same time, I'm
Absolutely.
already
Yeah.
wondering, but aren't you then searching a little bit too much for things that are not okay? Because every week you're coming together to talk about things that are not okay, which actually gives me the allowance to come up with things that I'm not okay on a weekly base. Whereas maybe I would be
Mm,
fine if I don't even think about it, which is it's an
mm,
interesting thing. Like you say, I agree we
yeah.
have to talk about things before they become really big. And at the same time, if I go searching, also if I go searching in my own space with myself, which
Mm.
we're pros at, I always find something that is wrong with me.
It's
So,
interesting you ask that. I think it depends on how many people live in a space. Because I feel like for us here, at the moment, it's like when something comes up, we either talk early on or you know, like I can ask for us to sit down and speak to something, and we find time. But I'm just wondering, like, if there is a community with a lot more people, for example, then I guess having that sort of time once a week where people can come, and maybe it's not like everyone needs to come. Maybe it's, I don't know how it works, if it's like compulsory or not. But I'm just wondering that, like, if you have a lot of people um come, then it might be actually like a useful tool, because like maybe to this week you don't have anything, to say, but then someone else does, and it creates that space where people actually listen to each other. And it might be like, something that doesn't actually involve you, or like has nothing to do with you, but that person is speaking and you're like, oh, actually, I've got the solution for you, I can help you with that. So I think it also is like space of sharing, but also when people come together, it's like a think tank, you know so
Mm.
there is more people bringing different ideas and solutions to the problem. So I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting, but I also see what you're saying. That we can definitely create. This, we can always find something that we don't like, and I think it's having like an integrity of like, am I just saying it because I can say it, or actually is that important? Can I sort it out myself, or is that something that I need to share with other people because it actually, it's my need, for example. So I think, yeah, there is so many possibilities there, Jess, with that one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree.
And also with the community bit, I feel like I think there is something about commitment with that comes with the sense of belonging.
Mm,
So through this experience, I realized that unless you commit to something, and instead of look away from each other, you are willing to look towards each other in good situations and in bad situations and so on. You always are willing to look towards each other. It's it actually, that's what creates the sense of belonging, is the human interaction, is the human bond that creates the sense of belonging. I can go and have a coffee with a friend in a coffee shop, and I feel the sense of belonging with her because we are sharing together, right? We're spending quality time together, and I think is actually the what's in between us is the belonging, and we create that by committing to something, by giving time to something, by showing up to listen, or showing up to speak into something, uh, you know, asking for help, or offering help, and so on. It goes, different ways, but I feel actually that's what creates sense of belonging for me. Is not so much the place where I am or how many people I am living with. Uh, so, you know, it's more actually about the relationships that I am building in my life.
mm,
That actually gives me a lot deeper sense of belonging, and it comes from the truth of who I am, rather than being in the group and being someone in order to fit in. And I think that's what happens in a lot of communities as well.
mm,
People tend to like try to fit in order to belong. And actually, I feel that's counterproductive, because you're chasing something that's not real, that is actually an illusion, where actually you are being yourself. And um, and then you find people who really get you and like you, even, the annoying side of you. And those people are your community. They don't have to live with you,
mm,
really, to be honest. But those people are actually your community. That's how I feel right now.
mm. Yeah, I feel like I have something similar. I've often seen myself like having a tiny house on a piece of land where I have a lot
I
of
can see you
space.
doing that.
But then there is people who are living maybe on the same land, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't have to get along with every single person there. That's a very much a fact because it's like an illusion to think that we will get along with everyone. If we live in a big house, that we will get along with everyone. That's an illusion. Because also, if I
Mm,
look at my life, like the biggest friendships I have is probably a handful of people, if even. And then I have a lot of scattered people around that I really like, but
yeah.
we're maybe in contact once a month, once every 2 or 3 months, and that's perfect. That's also my
Yeah.
community. But it's an illusion to think that with every single person that I live with, I have to have a daily contact because maybe that's not working. Community can
Mm,
be so much bigger and varied, and also nowadays with like technology and everything, my community doesn't actually have to be in the same time zone or country
yeah.
like it
Yeah.
does, it still works in that way. I do think for living situations, everyone has to find their own way, like what really works for you. And I
Yeah.
think living by myself is good because I do need a lot of time by myself to
Yeah.
regenerate. I need a lot of stillness. I can't continuously have, that's an interesting one. I actually, when I live with someone, I also need was aware, brought to my awareness that I need to tell people that I actually don't always want to communicate. And it doesn't mean that there is anything wrong with them or that there is anything wrong with me or that I'm unhappy. I just don't want to speak. There is days I just don't
Yeah.
want to. So this
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
where if you're living by yourself, this you can do and then you can still go out there. I think I also have a way more fluid, fluctuating understanding of this all, having my own space, and then from there being able to find the
Mm-hmm.
people. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I said to you earlier when we were talking. I feel like now, like moving into this new relationship, and if I, have a bigger family, like I wouldn't want to be living with people in the same house. Like I don't see a problem with living on the land together, where you know you have people living, like I have my own space, my own little home, my own little hearth that I can create in a way that I need to like nourish me in a way and my family. And then yeah, have community spaces where like you can choose to come in and cook together or like do some stuff together. But if you need your own space, you're just going into your cabin or whatever. I feel like that sounds beautiful. But also the reality of, for example, living in England where I am, is that actually I feel like here because um there there isn't that like this island is so overpopulated already for its size that actually creating new spaces and new homes and so on, I almost feel like that is taking advantage of the earth and of the natural spaces that are still here because nature here is absolutely gorgeous. I almost feel like how can we sort of organize it in a way that, like I have friends and we go over each other's houses from time to time to eat. That's community. We can, I don't know, create a day during the summer where everyone comes with kids and plays here. That's community, so it's actually like creating opportunities to get together and help each other out and so on, but we don't have to move.
Mm.
Like we don't have to build this new village or anything. Like I already live in the village. I
Mm.
have neighbors that are my community and are huge help for us, for example. So it's actually I almost find that for me it's now all about building deeper relationships and actually finding that connection where it's already possible, you
Mm.
know? Um, Yeah, and like people here, for example, where I live, do community gardens, they garden together. They grow food together. Like this area of UK, it's really big for that. And yeah, so there is so many different community opportunities and schemes you can get into. Um, there is a communal land that has been like it used to be private. It's been sold to like a big group of people that got together. You can like have shares of it. It's a yeah. Stroud is very beautiful sort of a space to come and even witness how people manage to come together and create things in a new way that haven't been done before, or maybe has been done before but hasn't been done for a very long time
Mm,
in a way.
mm,
So it's already happening everywhere. So I think it's like actually it has to come from you. It has
mm,
to come from an individual having the willingness to go out and meet that community and then commit to something, give it time and give it space, because it's easy to just go in and be like, oh, I'm not so sure, and then just leave it and keep on searching. And I almost feel like for me, where I am in life, it almost got to the point, it's like I'm not searching anymore.
mm.
Like I am done searching. What I want is actually be where I am
Yeah.
and really be where I am
Mm,
and actually commit to where I am and start building
mm,
something.
mm,
Um, because you can, everyone is different as well. Like
mm,
I guess for everyone, like legacy is something else. Like for you, it might be actually, traveling and being in so many different places. You get lots of experiences, and through those experiences, you're building a legacy. So it
mm,
means something
mm,
totally different to every person. But I feel like, yeah, I feel like I'm just at the place where yeah, I feel like a lot of prayers that things that I've been praying for in like last 5 to 6 years have materialized in a certain way. And now like I'm stepping into, okay, like now I choose what I'm doing with it
mm,
in a
mm,
way and committing to that and doing something,
mm,
you know?
mm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
gorgeous.
that's how it feels right now.
Gorgeous. I think we're also gonna wrap it up here just because of
Yep,
time wise and everything. And I think
yep.
it's also a good wrap around of like maybe we can find more simplicity in it and already like
Mm,
how can I create something where I'm at right now instead of
yeah,
having to find a new place? I think that's actually really powerful because, yes, for certain people, that might be the case that they have to find a new place, but actually, probably the majority, it's rather where I'm at, how can I create this? And I think just understanding that it's a mutual desire of most humans to
yeah,
have more like support, to have more community spaces, like you say. So food, such a super simple example, and I think that's
mm,
where it all goes back to. We love eating, all of us, and we actually love eating more in with other people than by ourselves. So
yeah,
how can
that's
we
for sure.
start that already now? So I think this is an invitation for whoever is listening. How can you start this already today? Like, can you open your house once a week or every 2 weeks, once a month, and just invite whoever wants to come to eat there, which I think is such a simple but such a powerful thing to do. And for myself, I definitely learned so much in this and already understanding of, hey, where I'm at is perfect and fine.
Mm,
And at the same
yeah.
time, other humans are needed to actually really
Mm.
go through,
Oh,
like you said, we grow through that, we become
mm-hmm,
adults through that. And this is
mm-hmm.
powerful and perfect. And it doesn't mean that anyone, any community has to 100% fit me, but I can actually create that which feels right, which I think is
Yeah,
really powerful. At the core, you find your own truth. No one out there can tell you what is right or what is wrong. You find your own
yeah.
truth, and through that find the perfect or the near as perfect place or
Mm,
space for you to live, to be, to function, to flourish. And yeah,
yeah,
just
yeah,
that's who we are, and that's what community is. And this as well, this was just an inspiration. Like neither I nor Joanna have the perfect solution for you. It's just like
yeah.
this is our dias. This is how we feel it. This is, yeah, this is what lands for us. So I want to say thank you so much for being here and talking
Thank
and
you.
sharing your story, sharing your experience, where you're right in the middle at the moment of having gone through 2 years of a process in something and realizing at the end, hey, this is what I want. So thank you so much. And do you have any like last sentences, words that you really want to share?
Mm, no, I think it feels actually quite complete. Everything that you shared at the end, I feel lands very well to wrap it up. But yeah, thank you.
So I will link Joanna's whatever social medias or whatever. We will link it so you can find her if you want to. Are you curious what kind of graphic is she doing? What kind of text she's writing and whatever else? Who is she? Go and check that out. And otherwise, I also, if you liked what you heard, leave a comment. Follow this podcast because there's more goodies coming your way. And I just want to say thank you so much and have a lovely, amazing, beautiful, gorgeous day.